Okay, just making sure.
Oh, okay.
So you said that, like at the time you didn't realize it was a struggle, but
Yeah, it was a way of life.
Mhm.
So therefore, we just lived the way we were.
yeah.
Yeah.
And did you live in a community of mostly Japanese people?
Basically, yes, because this was a sugar plantation town.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, the whole town was, you know, they all worked for the sugar mill.
Mm-hmm.
So we all went to the same school, and we had 12 years of high school, and the same school for 12 years. So.
A very close community.
Yeah, very close. Basically, we knew everybody in our whole town.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned somebody's name, we said, oh yeah, and we, our where we lived, because it was a sugar plantation town, they provided all the housing, and therefore, we were located in certain areas, and certain areas were given names of each town, each little, I guess you can call it village. Well, we didn't, we didn't call it a village, we just called it camp. And we gave it each a name depending on where you lived. So we had a camp of sugar mill camp and dairy camp and up camp, and they were very. Then we had the Chinese camp and the Portuguese camp, and all different camp had given. We had names for each area, but we all knew everybody.
Yeah. So all those housing camps were provided by the mills and
the plantation.
The plantations.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said that there was like a Chinese and a Portuguese. Did they all work for like a specific company?
Yeah, they all worked for the sugar mill.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a way of life, living in a sugar plantation town.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so when did you move to California?
I moved here in 1954.
Okay, and what was the decision-making process in moving?
Well, I lived in Hawaii. Let's see. I lived there until I got out of high school. Then I went to business school. Then after I got out of that, then I moved to California. And my sister was already here, my younger sister. Mm-hmm. So I was able to move in with her. That's one of the reasons I said, well, try out California.
Yeah. But was there any specific thing that made you want to leave Hawaii?
No, not really. I figured it was time to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
So, was it, what was the process like when you got to California? Was the community you were in mostly Japanese, or was it very different?
It was entirely different coming here to LA. My sister was already here, so that made it easier. However, she lived in an apartment with her girlfriend, so I just moved in with her, so didn't have any problem. But the thing is, when I first got here, of course I had to find a job. Mm-hmm. So my job was, I had to go to an employment private company, and what they did, I still remember this, they charged you, the fee was like the first month's salary that they charged you to get that job. But I worked there, and I did all right. But then, of course, I have to learn how to catch the bus, going to different areas, because back then we didn't have any cars, or the transportation system was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. So just walk down the street, and maybe half a block, and cut the bus, and from there went to cut the bus, go downtown LA. And that's how I got acquainted with the city of Los Angeles. Just getting on the bus, and I worked there until the company moved further south. So that meant I still have to catch the bus going farther, but we did a lot of transfers of different buses to get there. was kind of far, come to think of it, but, you didn't know much. So I did what had to be done, and thinking back, I guess I did okay,
And so you came in Hawaii, you were in a very close community of mostly Japanese people, and then when you came to Los Angeles, you mostly just knew your sister and her housemate. So
that's about it. Yeah.
Was it very strange being in?
In a big city, you have the city noise and the buses and all that.
Yeah.
You kind of, a little afraid, but being young, I figured you kind of get adjusted to it. Yeah.
And how did you meet people?
Well, my sister's roommate, she's she lived here in California, so she had her family. So I met her family, and at the same time, we used to have a social club, but they didn't call it a social club. We used to have dance parties. So we went out dancing. So we met all the other people. So that was our social contact. Yeah, so that was, when I'm thinking back, I said, oh my gosh, it's been many years. Yeah. And then at that time, of course, I met my husband, so we got married. Then after we got married, we moved to a one-bedroom house in El Sereno, which is, just not too far from downtown LA. So we moved there. So we lived there for maybe a couple of years, I guess. Then his parents, his father passed away. That's when we moved further east to El Sereno. I don't know if you heard of El Sereno, but anyway, we moved there. So from there, from there we moved to Monrovia. That's where I lived. Yeah. In Monrovia.
Was it difficult to find places to live around here, or no?
Well, actually, when I moved to Monrovia, my husband already had a home there, because when he was, of course, he was here first, but then you heard the internment camp. They were in the internment camp. So after we were released, they had a difficult time looking for homes, and so that's where he ended up in Monrovia. The first house was in Monrovia, and not too far from that house, they found another house in Monrovia also, and so they sort of settled down there, and that's when, after we got married, we moved to Monrovia, and we started a family there. So, and my kids all went to Monrovia High School. They went to middle school and high school.
So how old was your husband when he was in the internment? Like very young, or like he was an adult?
Yeah, he was I guess he was in high school. Or maybe, yeah.
So after that period, was it difficult to find work?
Oh, for him? For him, most of the people that got out of camp, they had difficulty looking for jobs, so they end up being gardeners. So that's what he did. And his mother also helped out, in the business. But somehow they managed. It was a struggle, I'm sure.
Was your husband born in California?
He was born in, I could stop and think. Calexico? No. Yeah, in Calexico. No. Imperial Valley. He was born in Imperial Valley. This another farming country, way out in the desert, I guess.
In California?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it? Yeah.
So you said earlier that your parents grew up in Hawaii but then went back to Japan.
Yeah.
What was their decision in returning to Japan?
Well, at that time, let's see, I really don't know the reason, but they did go back to Japan because my grandparents were born in Hawaii, and they in turn were born in Hawaii. And eventually, for economic reasons, I guess, they went back to Japan. And I think my grandparents passed away in Hawaii, so they had they were buried there in Hawaii. 'Cause I remember my mother saying, "Oh, this is where my mother is buried." So that's how I know that even though they came back, they they passed away and buried in Hawaii. Yeah, but it's so my parents, after they went back to Japan, I guess they must have gone back to Japan, and I don't know at what age they returned to Hawaii, and that's when they raised a family. Because my father worked at the sugar plantation mill, and they had a store, little small regular house that they converted to a store. And it was funny that when I think back, in this whole row of houses, there were like 1, 2, 3, about 5 stores, all in a row, practically carried the same merchandise. They were, I don't know if they were competitive or not, but back then you don't think they were just trying to make a living, selling basically the same things.
What kinds of things?
Just regular, daily needs of your home, your food and staples and whatnot. Yeah.
And those were all family stores of people you knew?
Yeah, they were all family stores. And when I'm thinking, but yeah, it's somehow you kind of favored certain family because you knew that person closer, or
You would always go to the same store?
Because I remember my father, after working at the mill, he would just drop in at that one particular store and just go in there and sort of socialize with them, and so that was his. So basically the living condition is just about the same. Go to work, come home, and go to the store and do whatever, and my mother would cook, and we had dinner, and nothing much to do except we didn't have TV those days, so just came home and did the regular daily things that which we thought was normal, but now you have all the other things to keep yourself busy, so it's
Oh, go ahead.
You're bringing back a lot of memories for me,
Yeah. What was it like being in Hawaii during the war?
During the war, it's I wouldn't say peaceful, but we had regulations to follow. We have curfews. And
that was set by like the town or the state?
Yeah, I guess each town had their own, I don't know, the head of the whole area. So when they have curfew, they have somebody in charge. Somebody who is knowledgeable of how to take care of the whole town.
Mm-hmm. And this was just for Japanese people, or for everyone there was curfew?
For our town.
Okay.
I don't know how the other towns did. I'm pretty sure they had their own curfews, and we were issued gas masks that we had to carry every day to school, and there's a sign that said, "Don't forget, carry your gas mask." That much I remember. So we all had to carry a gas mask together with our books.
Was it heavy?
No, not that heavy, but every once in a while we'd have a drill, and actually because of the war, the army took over our gym
Mm-hmm.
that we played sports and basketball. They took over the whole gym, so that's where they lived. They put all the army cots in the gym, and we had soldiers, walking around the whole town, and they sold candies and things very cheap, so we were able to buy candies from them, like a nickel a bar or something like that. Yeah, but
you never had to use you only used the gas masks during drills and stuff?
yeah, what they did was they filled the library full of tear gas, and you had to wear your gas mask and go in there and to check it to make sure that your gas mask worked. And then you just take it off that way. They'll know whether it worked or not, because tears will come out of your eyes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds scary.
Yeah. But it wasn't harmful. It was just tears, just stung your eyes.
Yeah.
But they want to make sure that your gas mask worked.
Mm-hmm.
So that as soon as you go in, they take your gas mask off or test it that way. But we would have drill every once in a while in the classroom. That okay, everybody, wear a gas mask. And I wore glasses. I had to take my glasses off.
Was there any time you felt like there was any real danger, or was it most of it just precautions?
Just precautions, just preparations.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the families had to dig a shelter. They call it a bomb shelter, in the backyard. We had to dig a hole and build a shelter, and in the shelter you provided your food, whatever food that we can keep in the shelter, and just in case there was
cans and
stuff.
stuff?
Yeah, canned goods, I guess, and first aid kit, and the bare necessities. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How big was it, the hole?
God, at least 6 feet, because my father, even though it was deep, he reinforced it with lumber, and
Mm-hmm.
so we had a wall, and then also he made sure in case we got attacked with gas, he put this regular tin, like a waste trash can,
Mm-hmm.
and he made it so he stacks it on, so that'll be our air vent from the top of it into the hole.
Mm-hmm.
So he was quite innovative. Then he also put a door in it so we can go in and out. But that was our, but we never used it, fortunately. So, but anyway, we had to also black out our homes. Because nighttime, we all, with all the lights on.
Sorry, keep going.
With nighttime being dark, they don't want to, from the air, they want to see the houses lit up, so we had to kind of block our windows. I don't know how we did it.
Was it curtains or something?
Yeah, curtains or newspaper, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in case, 'cause every once in a while I would hear airplane, above. So whenever I hear an airplane humming above, it kind of reminded me of the days we were in Hawaii when we all, but it's, they were way up Not like, regular passenger plane flying low. This was way up, but you can still hear it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this was all when you were in high school?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then, so it was only a few years after this that you moved to the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to California.
Yeah.
I forget sometimes why it's so different.
Yeah.
So, did you feel a lot safer being in California, or was it you didn't really feel unsafe in Hawaii?
Well, that's when I first, being in Hawaii, living with all the same race, or, we were so close,
Mm-hmm.
we never felt the prejudice
Mm-hmm.
until we came out of here. And then, I felt the prejudice in just going around, maybe riding the bus or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of instances
Yeah.
made you feel that?
Well, sometimes they'll stare at you, or but you can feel that the difference. Being in Hawaii, you didn't feel all that because you were among the same type of people, same race.
Mm-hmm.
So when you came out here, you met all the different types of races. So people will look at you and whatever. But I did okay, yeah. But you would feel something like that, especially when you're looking for a job too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I did all right because of the fact that I did go through the employment agency to look for a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to take a little break and get some water or go to the bathroom or anything, and we can start up in a little bit?
Oh, okay. I'll go to the bathroom.